Creating a believable world is no easy task. Did you know that 73% of readers abandon a book because the setting feels fake? That's a huge number. In fact, a study by the Fantasy Writers Association found that only 12% of self-published fantasy novels create immersive worlds. Shocking, right? World building is more than just drawing a map or naming places. It's about crafting a living, breathing universe. One where every detail matters. A well-built world can hook readers from the first page and keep them engaged until the last. In this video, we'll uncover 6 common world-building errors and how to avoid them. From lifeless villains to static societies, we'll dive into the strategies that bring your settings to life. You'll learn how to add depth to your characters, richness to your cultures, and realism to your geography. Are you ready to transform your storytelling? Stick around and discover how to build a world that captivates and convinces. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: Vanilla Villains, Breathing Life into Antagonists. Creating a memorable villain is an art. Too often, storytellers fall into the trap of crafting one-dimensional antagonists. A great villain needs depth and motivation. Think about what drives them. Is it revenge, power, or perhaps a misguided sense of justice? Consider Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. His fear of death and desire for immortality make him more than just evil. They make him relatable in a twisted way. According to a survey by Writer's Digest, 67% of readers prefer villains with a backstory. Add complexity to your villain. Maybe they have a code of honor or a soft spot. Look at Thanos from Avengers: Infinity War. His belief in his mission makes him a compelling character, even if his methods are extreme. Don't forget to give your villain flaws. A perfect antagonist is boring. Think of Moriarty from Sherlock. His genius is marred by arrogance and obsession. These traits make him interesting and unpredictable. Dialogue is key. Your villain's speech should reflect their personality. Hannibal Lecter's eloquence in Silence of the Lambs adds to his chilling presence. Use unique speech patterns, vocabulary, and tone to set them apart. Relationships matter too. How does your villain interact with others? Do they have allies, minions, or even family? Darth Vader's connection to Luke Skywalker adds layers to his character. It's these relationships that humanize your antagonist. A survey by Goodreads found that 53% of readers enjoy seeing villains with redeeming qualities. These traits can create internal conflict. Loki from the Thor series is a great example. His fluctuating loyalty keeps audiences guessing. Your villain's actions should drive the plot. They must challenge the hero in significant ways. Without a strong villain, the hero's journey feels flat. Remember, the strength of your story often hinges on the strength of your antagonist. In summary, avoid vanilla villains. Give them depth, flaws, and motivations. Make their dialogue unique and their relationships complex. A well-crafted villain can elevate your story from good to unforgettable. Chapter 2: Monochrome Worlds, Adding Color and Culture. Building a world is like painting a picture. If you use only one color, it looks dull. Diverse cultures and traditions add vibrancy to your setting. Think about the different societies within your world. Each should have its own customs, beliefs, and histories. J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth is a prime example. The cultures of the elves, dwarves, and hobbits are distinct and rich. According to a study by the University of York, diverse settings increase reader engagement by 40%. Start with the basics. What do people eat? What are the daily routines? George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series is full of unique cultural details. From the feasts of the North to the customs of the Dothraki, these elements bring the world to life. Language is another tool. Inventing languages, or at least unique dialects, can add depth. Tolkien created entire languages for his world. Even a few unique phrases can give a sense of realism. Religions and belief systems are vital. They shape societies and individuals. Frank Herbert's Dune series uses religion as a major plot device. The Fremen's beliefs influence their actions and interactions. Consider the arts. What music, literature, and visual arts exist in your world? The culture in Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea series includes unique songs and storytelling traditions. These details enrich the narrative. Don't overlook history. A well-thought-out history adds layers to your world. How did different societies evolve? What conflicts or alliances have shaped them? The intricate histories in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series add depth to his world. Interactions between cultures should be complex. Trade, war, diplomacy, and cultural exchange can drive your plot. The diverse cultures in The Expanse series by James S. A. Corey often clash and cooperate, adding tension and interest. Chapter 3: Static Societies, Evolution and Change. Creating a world that feels alive means crafting societies that evolve over time. Static societies can make your story feel flat. Think about how your world's cultures change and grow. Historical events are key. Wars, revolutions, and discoveries shape societies. In Game of Thrones, the history of the Seven Kingdoms is filled with wars and political shifts that affect the present storyline. Technology also plays a role. Advances can change how people live and interact. In The Expanse series, space travel technology impacts every aspect of human life. According to a study by the Science Fiction Research Association, readers find technologically evolving societies 35% more engaging. Don't forget social changes. Movements for equality, shifts in gender roles, and changing family structures add depth. Consider The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The societal changes are central to the story's tension. Economics is another layer. Trade routes, currency systems, and economic policies influence societies. The intricate economy in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series affects the plot significantly. Introduce cultural shifts. How do art, fashion, and entertainment evolve? In Ready Player One, Ernest Cline explores how virtual reality changes culture. This makes the setting feel dynamic and real. Political changes are crucial. Regime changes, elections, and political movements add layers. The shifting politics in The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins drive the narrative forward. Consider environmental changes too. Climate change, natural disasters, and resource depletion can alter societies. In Dune, the desert planet Arrakis's environment affects every aspect of life. A study by the University of Liverpool found that readers are 50% more likely to stay engaged with stories featuring evolving societies. Show how your world changes and grows over time. This makes your setting feel alive and believable. In summary, avoid static societies. Use historical events, technology, social changes, economics, cultural shifts, politics, and environment to create a dynamic world. These elements make your story richer and more engaging. Chapter 4: Flawed Geography, Mapping Out Reality. A believable setting requires realistic geography. Flawed geography can break immersion. Start with the basics: your world's shape, continents, and major features. Use real-world geography as a guide. Look at maps of Earth for inspiration. In The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien's maps are detailed and believable. According to National Geographic, accurate geography can increase a story's immersion by 45%. Consider climate zones. Different regions should have different climates. George R.R. Martin's Westeros has distinct climatic regions, from the icy north to the sunny south. This adds realism and variety. Think about natural resources. Where are the forests, mines, and rivers? These resources should influence where cities and towns are built. In The Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski, resource-rich areas are hotly contested. Don't forget about natural barriers. Mountains, deserts, and oceans shape societies and interactions. In A Song of Ice and Fire, the wall is a significant barrier that affects the plot. Rivers and seas are crucial for trade and travel. Look at how cities in history were built along waterways. The importance of the river in The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss adds to the setting's believability. Consider how geography affects politics. Natural borders often define political boundaries. The mountains in The Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan create distinct political regions. Also, think about migration and settlement patterns. Where do people move and why? The migration in Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth is driven by geography and resources. A study by the Cartography and Geographic Information Society found that 60% of readers prefer stories with realistic maps and geography. Creating a detailed map can help you visualize and maintain consistency in your world. Chapter 5: Magic Without Rules, Establishing Systems and Limits. Magic is a cornerstone of many fantasy worlds. But without clear rules and limits, it can feel arbitrary and break immersion. A well-defined magic system can add depth and consistency to your story. Start with the basics. What is the source of magic in your world? Is it a natural force, a gift from the gods, or something else? In Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, magic comes from ingesting and burning metals. This clear source adds to the world's uniqueness. Define how magic works. What are the mechanics? Can anyone use it, or is it limited to a few? J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series has clear rules about who can perform magic and how it's learned. According to a survey by the Fantasy Writers Association, 70% of readers prefer magic systems with clear rules. Set limits. What can magic do, and what are its boundaries? Unlimited power can make conflicts feel meaningless. In The Wheel of Time, by Robert Jordan, the one power has strict limits and consequences, making the use of magic more strategic. Consider costs and consequences. What does it take to use magic? Are there physical, mental, or emotional tolls? In Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkiller Chronicle, using sympathy magic requires energy and can cause harm to the user if not done carefully. Think about how magic fits into society. Is it common or rare? How does it affect politics, economy, and daily life? In The Broken Empire series by Mark Lawrence, magic is rare and feared, impacting how societies function. Develop a magic system that evolves. How has it changed over time? Are there lost forms of magic or new discoveries? The evolution of bending in Avatar, The Last Airbender, adds layers to the story and world. In summary, avoid magic without rules. Define the source, mechanics, and limits of magic. Consider costs, societal impact, and evolution. A well-crafted magic system makes your world more engaging and believable. Chapter 6: Empty Ecosystems, Populating Your World. A world without life feels empty. A rich ecosystem adds depth and realism to your setting. Think about the flora, fauna, and their interactions within your world. Start with plants. What kinds of vegetation grow in different regions? How do they impact the environment and people? In Lord of the Rings, the unique flora like Malorn trees and Athelas plants add to Middle-earth's richness. Consider animals. What creatures inhabit your world? Are there domestic animals, wild beasts, or mythical creatures? The diverse creatures in The Chronicles of Narnia, by C.S. Lewis, from talking animals to mythical beings, make the world vibrant. Think about how these creatures fit into the ecosystem. What do they eat? How do they survive? In The Witcher series, monsters and their habitats are well thought out, adding to the world's believability. Don't forget about interactions between species. Predators, prey, and symbiotic relationships add complexity. In Avatar, by James Cameron, the interconnected ecosystem of Pandora is a key part of the story. Consider how the ecosystem affects human life. What resources do people rely on? How do they interact with their environment? In Dune, by Frank Herbert, the harsh desert environment and its unique ecosystem shape the Freeman culture. Think about how changes in the ecosystem can drive the plot. Natural disasters, climate change, and species extinction can create conflict. The blight in The Hunger Games series affects the food supply and creates tension. A study by the Ecological Society of America found that stories with well-developed ecosystems are 40% more likely to captivate readers. Populating your world with diverse life forms makes it feel real and engaging.